All right. Well, happy Monday. I hope that everybody had a fantastic weekend. And whether or not you had a fantastic weekend, I know that we are going to have a fantastic week. We are getting started on a good foot and just, investing in ourselves. And so there are so many different topics that we can kind of dive into, and I'm excited for that. But this week, I thought we could talk a little bit about something many of you are probably familiar with emotional intelligence. But I have been reading a book, and it's just a very interesting topic. And realizing that again, when we're intentional about our leadership and about our mindset, we can choose um, to communicate well, and we can grow our emotional intelligence. And so we were talking about leading ourselves first, and that what we do, whether we have a team or not, no matter how long you have been building your business or how you're going about building your business, having and mastering emotional intelligence, excuse me, is an important part of the process. And so, how many times have we made a decision based on our emotions, right? And maybe the question should be, have you ever made a decision based on emotions that you later regretted? Like, has there been a moment in your life when you have been emotionally driven, right? What comes to your mind when you think about that? Yes. I appreciate the honesty, right? And that's it, is like we are often emotionally driven people. And there's so many different stories that you hear of things that people have gone through in life. And I think that we shorten each other's learning curves when we have already been through something and we can share that story. And there's so many famous, and not even famous, but like entrepreneurs and people who have gone before us who have shared their story. And, you know, I think that it's important to recognize that there can be different seasons of our life, different seasons of our day, different seasons of our month, where we can be more emotionally charged. And it really impacts the way that we look at things or the way that we feel about a situation. And I think that the key to success in leadership and business really actually begins with us being able to master our emotions and to be able to lead ourselves first. So, we're going to talk about ways to kind of harness emotional intelligence. Sorry, I'm just getting, um, and to, help ourselves be prepared for dealing with the situations that we're going to face, and being proactive so that we can um, start moving forward and analyzing our um, emotions and how we're managing different situations. So the goal is that as we kind of discuss through this topic, that we're going to start to understand emotional intelligence. If it's something that you've never, drop me a one if you've never heard the phrase emotional intelligence, and drop me a two if you're like, yes, absolutely, this is something I've focused on before. I know for me, it was kind of a new concept when I was in business. Okay, I'm appreciate that. Um, and so some of us have never even addressed this topic, right? It's something that we haven't really put our mind on. And when you start to understand the role that emotional intelligence plays in building relationships and connecting with people and all of that, it's going to help us learn, and think of ways that we can master our emotions or be prepared to handle our emotions in different situations so that we have a plan that's going to help us grow and enhance our leaderships and our relationships, and therefore our business and everything else all around us, right? So, for anyone who doesn't know what emotional intelligence is, if this is something that's kind of a new topic to you, it's basically just the ability to recognize and understand and manage your own emotions. So, obviously we can think of like our children. Um, they don't really have a whole lot of emotional intelligence. They can't help it that they burst into tears, when they spill their milk kind of concept. And so, emotional intelligence is actually split into five different areas or like components when you look at it. And the first one is self-awareness, right? And so obviously that makes sense that children just don't necessarily have that emotional awareness. Yes, Cynthia. Everyone always looks at IQ, and I think EQ is just as important. So true, right? And it's just one of those things that when you stop and break it down, then you can actually make a plan. So, self-awareness is really just understanding your emotions and how they're impacting your actions. Be self-aware. Start to recognize how you respond. And then after we can be aware of it, we still have to learn to regulate it. So self-regulation is managing your emotions and your reactions in an appropriate way, right? And then motivation is actually part of emotional intelligence, which is why I thought it was really valuable for us to talk about it because we're always saying, how can I be more motivated? Right? And it's something that we all want to stay motivated in our businesses and stay driven and focused even when there's challenges. We also need to have empathy. And so that is a part of emotional intelligence is having empathy for other people and understanding others' emotions. And then having the social skills to be able to navigate through relationships effectively. And I think, someone who displayed good emotional intelligence is someone like Oprah, whether you agree with her perspective or not, what she built up through that show that, ran through most of our lifetimes is the fact that she would get on and she would share people's stories and she would hear people's stories. And I think that stories are such a powerful thing. And when we can learn to listen to other people's stories, respect what it is that they've gone through, be able to appreciate them um, and find value in their stories. Because, as I was saying, I think that we can shorten each other's learning curves by sharing our stories. And so it's a great question to ask yourself, like, are you sharing your story often enough? And are you allowing people a chance to connect with you on an emotional level? Because if you want to have a relationship with anyone, it is important that you can relate to them and that they can relate to you. And think about if you've ever worked with someone who has no empathy, right? And they don't care about what anyone else is going through, you know, they don't make you feel valued. And and so our goal in growing ourselves with our mindset and our leadership is so that we can truly make people feel valued, so we can be there for them and help them on that journey of growth themselves. And so we have to have kind of gone before them so that we can do that. Sorry, somebody's asking for the code here. Um, Perfect. And so anyhow, as we learn to share our story more and other people share their stories, we're going to connect on a deeper level with them, which is really important. If you want to be able to lead anyone, you have to have somewhat of their respect. And I love talking about the brain. Like I just feel like our bodies are so cool and the way that our brains work is so cool. And when you start to understand like how complex our brain is and that we actually have an emotional center in our brain that can override rational thought. And so being able to develop emotional regulation and emotional intelligence is going to help us manage those responses better and it engages a different part of your brain so that you do make those decisions better. So in each of these areas, if you were to rate yourself, what's your emotional intelligence? Would you say that you are self-aware? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, if you were grading yourself, how self-aware are you? Do you pick up on things, or do you feel like other people tell you things about yourself before you've even realized them, right? Are you understanding your emotions and how they're impacting the way that you handle with situations? Okay. Love it. 6 or a 7. I appreciate that. Right? This is great. This is totally for self-reflection, but hopefully this is helpful for you. So looking at yourself and saying, am I self-aware? And if you know that you're at a 6 or a 7, guess what? It just means that there's room for improvement. It's not for us to beat ourselves up and say we should be a 10. Like the process, it's the same way that we talked about the 5 levels of leadership. We are always working to get to the pinnacle. It may take us a long time to get there, but when we start to think about it and when we start to set that as a goal, we can move closer to it. So if where are you on the self-awareness? What about self-regulation? Do you manage your emotions well? Do you react well in situations? I'm better than I used to be, but not perfect. Probably an 8 or a 9 now, but I used to be a 4. Hashtag growth right there. It's so true. And this is the cool thing is that when we look back on how far we've come, whatever business you've been involved in, whatever life situations you've had, you've grown through the process. And sometimes we grow in a positive way and sometimes we grow in a negative way. But having moments like this where we just stop and we analyze, like, am I self-aware? Do I have good self-regulation skills? Right? Do you fly off the handle? Do you have a breakdown when something bad happens, right? It is what it is, however you respond, but recognizing that, okay, you know what, maybe I could do better in the area of managing, and I could do better in terms of regulating my emotions, holding myself together, giving myself, and it may be you need to count 10. You need to hold your breath. You need to do, there can be so many actual coping strategies that we can incorporate in terms of self-regulation. And so, what about motivation? Would you say you're a motivated person? It's funny how I can teach self-regulation and I forget to do it myself. And it's after, oh, I lost it. And it's after that, I'm like, really? Yep. Yeah, it's so true, right? And I can say this, I say to you guys every single day, please don't ever think that I feel like I have, arrived. In every day I feel inadequate to run these calls and to lead you guys because there are areas of weakness that I have for myself. And the goal is that the more we talk about it and the more, and I love that I get to talk about it in this positive way of like, this is what you need to do. And then through the day, I'm like, remember what you said this morning. This is a pep talk for myself as much as it is for anyone else. And it's true, right? We can teach other people sometimes easier than we can teach ourselves, right? Good. Some of you are recognizing and saying, I break down very easily. I'm a very emotional person. Hey, that's okay. But it's good to know how you respond. I'm learning how to regulate my emotions. This is a process, so don't worry. So when it comes to motivation, are you a motivated person? Are you driven? Do you get up and you stay focused despite the challenges, despite what's happening in life? Is that something that's easy for you? What about empathy? Would you say that you're an empathetic person? Right? Oh, good morning. Let's see babies on here. Um, so do you understand other people's emotions well? Do you have empathy and care about where they're at? I think this is probably something that most of us can do pretty well, right? If you want to be in leadership, you have to truly love people. And when you love people, you're empathetic to what it is that they're going through. And then when it comes to social skills, do you feel like you navigate relationships well and you build relationships well, you connect with people well, right? This is just a little bit of a self check. I am empathetic to a fault, right? Sometimes we do have we put our focus completely on others. I do have empathy for others and encourage them to keep going. That's it, right? It's great when you can recognize and say, "Hey, I totally feel how you're feeling and I'm here for you, and you have the social skills to be a good friend because that really is the most important thing in us building any kind of business or having any kind of life is learning how to be a good friend. So if we started to kind of break it down and we said, all right, well, I want to be more self-aware. What are some ways that we can help ourselves become more self-aware? One thing we talk about often is journaling, right? Data matters. If you if you analyze your business, you have to analyze it by a set of data. And I think that when we journal, we can look back and see where we were. We see how far we've come. We can track things. To if you journal how your day went yesterday, you start tracking how you got emotionally triggered and how you responded in different situations. So journal your emotions. And then there's things that you can do to be more mindful, right? What are you doing for daily self-reflection? And this isn't meant for you to take a minute to beat yourself up. This is for you to, do you lay in bed at night and you're like, oh, you know what, I could have managed that better? Or do you lay in bed at night and you think about the people and the conversations you've had? What are some of the ways that you allow yourself to look back and say, did I manage that well? Could I manage that better? And my empathy is an 8 or 9. My teenage daughter's friends come over to talk to me. I am known as Mama Bex. I love that. That's beautiful. I want to be that for my kids' friends. I want to be someone that can be trusted and um, feel valued when they come to talk to us. I think that's amazing. My self-regulation was crazy because of hormones, and then working out regularly and eating better helped so much. Very valid point, Miranda. Like very valid point is that if we don't have self-care and we're not giving ourselves an outlet, then we end up with this like buildup that overflows out into the way that we manage situations. So very important to recognize that, yeah, like even just doing those little things of eating well and having an exercise routine, whatever that looks like for you, can be so powerful to allow you to be in a more stable place that then you manage situations better. Think about being hangry, right? Like, when you are feeling hangry, you don't manage a situation as well as you could have had you got a good meal in your belly. So, um, it- there's again, we can look at people and there's so many speakers that will give you these strategies. And I remember hearing a story about how Jeff Bezos, he trained himself to pause as he was building Amazon and as he was building a team, he would like do this conscious pause. And sometimes we need to do that. It can be that whole like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold yourself together, and this goes back to like when I was teaching, helping kids learn to manage and regulate their emotions. You know, you could be playing with a toy and your friend comes over and kicks down your tower, and you have this natural instinctive response. And some kids would respond by like turning around and socking the kid in the face, and that wasn't necessarily what we wanted to happen every day. And so we would spend time teaching kids coping strategies. And maybe it's when you feel frustrated, when something happens, if somebody comes and knocks down your tower, you grab your pants and you squeeze your pants. Okay. Like this, just simple little things. And the same way that that applies to a child of like, hold yourself together and don't react and smack somebody, you know, we have to do the same because as an adult, you still are going to have moments where you want to smack somebody. You know what I mean? Where you want to respond in that situation. And always teaching ourselves to pause, to like take a deep breath, to think about the situation. Sometimes as a parent, you just need to walk away from whatever the situation is for a minute. Give yourself a breath before so that you can think clearly because our emotions do get in the way and we typically just start to respond. And so um, I love that we can take a pause, give yourself space, give yourself permission to take a 5 to 10 second pause when you're in a stressful situation, right? And we've talked about reframing things, right? This is my limiting belief. I'm going to reframe it and I'm going to say it this way. It really happens the same when you're self-regulating. Is like, it may look like this in this moment, but I'm going to believe it's going to be this. And we reframe the situation, we shift ourselves into this more positive place where we focus on the solution and not the problem. And we need to allow ourselves to reframe those challenges so that they don't seem so overwhelming. Because when they're overwhelming, that's when our emotions just get out of hand because we feel like we can't pull it together. We can't manage. And this is where I think like having a time where you get up every day and you invest in your personal development, or you spend time in your devotions and in prayer, and you grow yourself and you put yourself in a positive mind frame before you start the day, because it's either you run the day or the day's going to run you. And so taking control of your day by doing something like this and putting positive in first is going to allow positive to come out. Taking a pause and a moment to even think about, do I have emotional intelligence? How do I regulate? You're going, when you face a situation now, you're actually going to think about it more clearly and you're going to manage it better. So if you allowed yourself time to be mindful and to have self-reflection and to practice awareness and to learn how to be more in control of yourself, that is going to benefit you in every aspect of your life. When you think about motivation, I think we all strive for motivation, to be motivated, to motivate others, is always our goal if you're in leadership. And really, motivation is intrinsic, and it's not something that you can necessarily teach other people. You can't force someone to be motivated. You can encourage someone, and that can help them think about more things to be positive about. But really, at the end of the day, it's what drives you. So what drives you on a personal level? What are your intrinsic motivation and what's extrinsic? What can come from the external that still motivates you? So many people that are now successful in life maybe went through bankruptcy or faced rejection, but their vision is what pulled them. And so we've been talking about this as getting clear on our vision so that we've got something that makes us want to get up and get out of bed every day and make a difference for our family. We can have situations that trigger us. Maybe you've been hit heavily in a financial area, and it, you know, becomes this thing where you just feel broken, you feel lost, you don't know how to be motivated to get up and work your business when everything feels hopeless. But at the end of the day, if you don't get up and get motivated and go do something about it, your situation is never going to change. And so we have to find a way to be motivated enough to keep our life moving forward. And so some of that motivation will come from within. Some of it can come from without, from the outside in. And so again, remembering that you were created to do great things. I can do all things through Christ. Like I know that even when I don't have the strength in me, I can lean on God and he gives me the strength. And I hope that each and every one of you guys has a faith relationship with God, because he wants the best for us. He has a plan for us that's good. And so when we don't feel like we have a plan for ourselves, or when we feel like we're failing at life, and we can rest on the fact that there is a greater plan for us, that is going to help you stay motivated to continue moving forward towards that vision. So get clear on the vision of what you want to be, where you want to get to, who you want to become, and you're going to start to move towards that. So again, your why is so powerful. Your why can be the thing that motivates you on a day that you feel like doing nothing. And so figuring out why you're doing something, taking the time to allow yourself the self-reflection to figure out what is your motivating why is really going to be crucial. When you write down what's your deep reason for pursuing your business, for stepping forward in life, for doing better as a mom, whatever it looks like for you. Creating that vision board and having something that you can put your eyes and your mind on that's pulling you forward and not allowing you to stay stuck in the situations that you're in. Having a vision board is so powerful, guys. I really hope all of you guys have a vision board. If you do not yet have a vision board that is current, I'm going to challenge you. Drop me a 3 in the chat if you are acknowledging in this moment and saying, you know what, I need to create a dream board. I need to make a vision board. I think about it in my head, but I haven't actually put it on paper. And we know that there's so much power to that. So take a moment and just drop a 3. If you don't have one and you can say, hey, or maybe you just need to revamp yours. Maybe you achieved all the dreams on your dream board and you need to write a new one. Maybe you maybe you've thought about the vision, but you haven't allowed yourself time to really get clear on it. I'm glad. I love to see that some of you guys have them. Perfect. I need to update mine. This is just a thought. Where are you at? Because having a current dream board and something that is relevant and pulls you forward is so important. On the days that you have no motivation, you need to be able to look at that vision board and remember why you started. And you also should reward yourself. Like it can be the littlest things of, when I drink all my water for the day, then I get to have a glass of wine. Or when I do my workout for the day, then I get to, have a snack. What is it for you? Put those things in place that get you excited or, that are rewarding you for making the little milestones happen because we again look so far ahead of us that we look at the big picture and then we don't celebrate the little steps that we take along the way. So if you were to write your why, and I challenge you guys, if you want to do that, this is a safe space for you to do that. Write your why and put it in the chat. If you haven't gotten it written down anywhere, this is a place to start. Love it. Cynthia's going to spend some time looking at it. It is so powerful. So write down what your why is somewhere in the chat, on a sticky note. I don't care. Put it somewhere. What's your why? And then tell someone. Maybe it's your partner in business, maybe it's your upline, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's your neighbor, maybe it's your mom, right? But like tell someone why you're doing this. Because when you talk about it, it's going to get more clear. But why do I really want that? And that's what I love is that when you share it with someone else, they're going to be like, "Oh, that's a really good dream. What made you think of that?" Maybe your dream is to travel the world or, to have some crazy kind of experience. We all have different whys. I'm loving this. To be able to stay at home with my baby and future babies and not have to worry about finances. And then long term to bring my hubby home to stay home with our kids. Man, I tell you stuff that is so powerful and like allow yourself to really dream and believe that it's possible. When my mom got sick, so my husband has been home full time with our kids for 11, no, almost 12 years. That's crazy, right? And it became that was a why for me. When I first started talking about a why and a vision and making a dream board, the first dream board I ever did, you would laugh, but like we made a dream board together, my husband and I, for the first time ever. And I got up and he had written out each of our dreams onto like a full-size sheet of paper. And we made this video of me taking these dreams and like slapping them on his chest and just claiming all these things we were going to do. I was pregnant with my daughter at the time. So this would have been like almost 12 years ago. And we made it a dream for him to never go back to work. And it was one of those things that because of my life, because my mom was sick at the time, and I knew I needed the freedom and flexibility of time to be with her, that became a dream for us. And there were so many people around us that would be like, that's crazy. That's stupid. You're going to live on one income, like whatever. But the freedom and the life that that's given us, I had to allow myself to really dream of what that was going to look like. And I craved it so desperately that that has changed and cultivated the life that my kids have. My younger two have had their dad home every day of their life prior to them going to school. Like they didn't know what it was like to not have him around. And so I love that for you. I'm like, I just keep dreaming big on that. I've been working on digging really hard into my why I'm making it real, to be home with my kids and invest in my family. Side note, just finished The Gap in the Gain, now listening to Atomic Habits. I love it. Love it. Guys, if you guys want accountability calls, I will just say anyone who is in our business, if you guys want accountability calls, we are doing them every day at 6 o'clock Eastern time with Bracken Abrams from corporate. And we've been reading through Atomic Habits together, and it is just so incredible hearing other people's perspectives. I feel like my why is so surface level. I definitely want to really dig into my mind and dreams and see exactly what my why is and map out how I'm going to achieve it. That I'm so excited for you to hear that, because truly when you can recognize, like, I've only allowed myself to go surface level. Like, I don't allow myself to get deep because I don't, maybe that stems out of you don't have the belief in what you're capable of. But yet, girl, let me tell you, God created every single one of us for greatness, and the world has told us to play small. And subliminally, we've kind of gotten trapped into that, I think. And so when we take the time to say, okay, you know what? I do want to dream. I do deserve more in life. Well, I do want this. Well, why do I want that? Well, why do I want that? And keep digging deeper. And it will become that why that makes you cry, that moves you forward. My why is giving my kids options in life. My why is to do more traveling and have flexibility with our spending. We are single, low income with three little kiddos, so we're stretched thin so much, right? Life does not have to be like that, my friend. I am so excited for the story that you will tell of how you overcame. Yeah, absolutely. You guys are gonna do this. I want to be a yes mom and experience things without having to worry about funds. I want to be self-sufficient and not have to ask my hubby for money. I want to pay off um, debt and improve my credit card so we can have investment property and buy our dream home. I love that. I'm excited. My why is that my husband's work history has been unstable, so my intention is to always be contributing so much that it doesn't matter what he does to relieve stress for all of us. My husband and I can retire and have time to travel and see family and spend time with my best friend who is very sick. Have fun and not worry about finances. And Becky, yes, like when you start to realize how short life is, that's what it became for me, was like, it's not about money. It is not about money. That is why I wanted my husband home, because I wanted to spend time with my mom, and I was able to make precious moments and memories with her that I can never get back. And I wouldn't have the chance to recreate had I waited until now. So make time for the people that matter, absolutely. And and to be able to bring in the income to support that dream. I've never seen this kind of success before, so I struggle with believing that I will achieve it. It's true. You literally have to grow a new brain cell when you start surrounding yourself with people who dream big, and just people that dream big in life. But I will tell you that if you are in our business, it will be mind blowing for you to see what is possible. And on the 12th of every month, when we get paid, our team does a check opening call. And I'm telling you that will stretch you in a whole new way, right? You literally have to grow a new brain cell for being like, this is someone that is literally hanging out with me at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they're making six figures in a month, you know? And the world tells us that that kind of stuff isn't possible. And so that's why we play small. And when you start getting around dreamers and people who do and accomplish things in life that seem so far out there, it's like it's rare air. It is rare air that you are breathing when you spend time in this kind of a community, and you start to believe, like, actually, if they can do it, I can do it too. There is nothing special about me. If, like, guys, I made $150,000 last year. Like, if I can do that, you can do that. Anything is possible here. And that's playing small. There are people who are at the point where they're making $150,000 a month, right? But it might start with $150 a month, and we have to grow that why and grow that belief level. And that's exactly what these calls are about. I came from an idea of pietism, living simply, not reaching for worldly success. Don't live for the love of money. But I've seen the love of money from having it all ruin people, and the love of money from being too frugal, also ruining people. Very valid point, Miranda, right? Money itself is not the goal. Like, it is not about the money, it's about what the money can do for you. And some people use and abuse that situation. And we've heard of people that have like won $1 million and then they blow the whole thing, right? And I think too, I don't know about you guys. Yeah, absolutely. It's the freedom that comes with it. That is what we're chasing. It's not about the money, it's about what the money can do for you. It's that freedom. But I will say, oftentimes it's the way that we're brought up too. We can have these limiting beliefs when it comes to money. And that is something that we have to work through. We have to grow a money mindset. I know that for me, like, I grew up in a great home and a great community, and our church was amazing. But I think oftentimes within the church circles, especially, it's this whole like you're being selfish or you're being greedy if you're going to pursue that. And this, I think I shared with you guys, I have been rereading this book called Anointed for Business, and it's so powerful. And then last night I listened to this sermon, and oh my goodness, it just like, it's so true that I think we're told, you can be in business or you can be in ministry, but you can't be in both. And I have felt so clearly for the last several years of my life that God has called me to business tree, where like I'm in business, but my business is my ministry. It's one of the reasons why I started doing this call to begin with and why I've restarted this call. And and I'm bold with sharing my faith with you guys on here, because I believe that that's really the most important thing in life. I can help you be successful and make $1 million, but guess what? If you're not pursuing your purpose in life and what God has called you to, you're never going to feel fulfilled. And so money doesn't solve everything. And I know that there's some people you might come on this call and I don't know where you stand with your faith. I don't know if you believe in God the same way that I do, but I'm going to be bold about sharing my faith because that's part of my ministry in my business, is that I just don't want people to experience one without the other, because having money without having hope is, really kind of pointless. And so, but I do think that we grow up, and especially for anybody that comes from a church background, it's kind of like, there's something wrong with you if you're going to want to be successful and if you want to have a lot of money. But I believe that God called us to be his hands and feet. And I can't serve what he wants to call me to or the things that he wants me to give back to if I'm not successful. And this book, Anointed for Business, it like goes through and it just tells stories in the Bible of like there was women in the Bible like Dorcas who supported the disciples' ministry. For them to be able to go and do what God called them to, they needed the income that they couldn't necessarily provide. But yet also most of the disciples were still in business full time, even while they were in ministry full time. And and we don't read those stories that way. We don't recognize that. Like Jesus was known as a carpenter. That was his business. He wasn't just like, freely walking around and like, yes, he gave his time to people, but he also was a hard worker and he produced an income to be able to go out and do ministry. So don't overlook that or think that that doesn't matter, because we are called to be abundant so that we can give back and do the things, and give our families the life that we crave. Because if our heart is to serve, there's going to be opportunities to serve. Whether you're with your kids at Disney World, you'll probably find an opportunity to serve, And so as we write out our why and we get really clear on it, and we recognize that we are called to be abundant. That's what you were created for. So you don't have to play small in life. So once we start to figure out what our why is and we can get motivated by that and we can acknowledge and grow our money mindset to say, I deserve to be successful and to be abundant, and I'm going to be able to do so many more greater things with my life because I will get to that place of success and abundance. Um, and so that's motivation. But when we look at empathy and social skills, that's really the secret to having influence. And empathy matters because leaders who understand people build stronger teams, build stronger relationships. And it needs to be a focus for you if you want to be a good leader. You have to understand others. And I will say that this is one reason, no offense to any guys that are on here, but I think that's one reason why women can be so successful in this kind of industry is because we have a big heart. We are much more empathetic naturally. I will tell you, we have gone through seasons where I've said to my husband, like, you just completely lack empathy. Like he just does not think about what people go through the same way that I do. It's the reason why when you watch a movie and you get super emotional and you cry about it, it's because you can put yourself in that person's shoes and you can really begin to comprehend how they feel in that situation. And it can be really emotional. Amy says, what's selfish is only thinking of our own family. What's powerful is growing so much that you can help others grow their dreams and help hundreds of families. I could not agree more. It's the heart posture. Yes. So, so true. Um, I struggle with that mindset too. Money is complicated. Yes. Oh, I'm glad you downloaded the ebook, Miranda. You'll have to keep me posted on what you think of it. You have to learn how to love every single person and you have to have servant leadership. Oof. Like that is the core of it all. Showing up even when it doesn't benefit you directly. Love people and value changing their life and not just your own. Oh, yes, 100%, 100% I could heart that because that is the truth, right? We have to put other people's needs before ourselves, and that servant leadership will deepen your relationship with people. It allows you to listen and hear their story and be empathetic to what it is that they're going through. So, um, practical ways that we can develop empathy, right? You think about somebody like Mother Teresa, who had influence because she was empathetic. She took on this mission to help the children and to help so many different people. And so, if we want to be empathetic people, we have to listen, right? Listen and not just hear. Listen to understand and not just to respond. We need to ask thoughtful questions about what is your perspective on that? Why do you think like that? What have you been through in life that has shaped you or caused you to believe that or think that or look for that, right? We have to practice compassion. How can we support other people in their journey of where they're at? That is going to allow you to really connect with people on such a deeper way that they will respect and love and appreciate you for the growth that you help them find in their life. And they're going to want to be friends for life, and that's what we're looking for. Especially in our business, we get to do life with people forever. Like this is a business where I will retire. I will hopefully see many of you guys at events for the next, 50 years of my life. And that's incredible. So I don't want it to be a surface level relationship. I want to get to know you. I love it that you guys share your stories on here. And I may not have known many of you guys if it weren't for us doing these calls. And I definitely wouldn't know the depth of your heart and your intentions and your goals if I didn't take the time, for us to have this space and for you to be able to, and if you didn't take the time to share, right? So recognize too that you also have to give in situations. It's not just about you being the leader always. You also have to be on the other side of it. that you allow other people to lead you because we've never arrived. And someone who starts this business today or comes into my life today, they may have a ton to offer me from their previous experience or from their fresh perspective. And I'll miss out on that if I don't build that relationship and if I don't have the conversations. If I don't ask the questions, I'm never going to be able to hear the answers. And if I don't hear the answers, I might not be able to be understanding and compassionate to what they've gone through in their life. And if I'm not understanding and compassionate to what they've gone through in life, I might miss an opportunity to prepare myself for one day, who knows, having to experience that same situation and have their experience to benefit from. And then when it comes to social skills, we need to master nonverbal communication, right? Some of you may know someone who has a little bit of RBF, right? And people can read you through the screen, people can read you across the room. And sometimes it may not be that you intend to have a face that comes across like you really don't care about life or about anybody else, but you might be lost in your own world and that's what ends up coming through, right? If we but the first time I heard that concept of having that kind of a face, I was like, oh, do I have that kind of a face? I'd never had that brain thought before, right? And so then I started to be more conscious of how I sat and like I would think about, what does my face look like right now as I'm listening to someone else, or what is my body language saying? And I think our phones, like, this is the worst. And I'm just as guilty. Like, you can be sitting in a conversation with someone and you're picking up your phone and you're checking in on things. And that's showing so much disrespect to the person that you're with. And that's the body language essentially that people read now, is our body language of us picking up our phones. Where, when we were growing up, it was all about like, even to think, are your legs crossed? Are your arms crossed? Are you sitting? Are you open when you're talking to someone? Are you making eye contact with them when you're talking to them? That matters. Like, looking someone straight in the eye can make them feel really valued. And don't forget, look them in the right eye, right? It really makes people feel valued. So, how can you build relationships with trust? When you communicate well with people, when you show them that you're listening and you're actively engaged, and you're networking with people with a level of just raw authenticity, where they can tell that you are being you. And this is why I shared that you know, point with you, because for me that was powerful, knowing that people could see through to my heart and my soul and see my authentic self, by me making eye contact with them. I now make it a goal to make eye contact with people where intrinsically we may just avoid that otherwise. And then there's going to come conflict in our life. You are going to have conflict with your spouse, with your kids, with your business partners, maybe your neighbors, coworkers, whoever. We are going to have disagreements. We are never always going to get along with other people, but it's how we handle those conflicts, right? And if you're married, you have had, or in a relationship, you have had to learn how to build a communication strategy in moments when you're frustrated with each other. And that can look different for every single one of us. Maybe it's you need to take a break and you need to walk away and you need to be separated for 10 minutes before you talk. I've heard of people that will write down a note to each other in the moment when they're frustrated and wait an hour before they have the conversation. You can build coping strategies to connect with people, but we're going to have conflict and we have to learn how to handle disagreements with wisdom, with compassion, with kindness. Oh, I lost my chat there. You can't control what happens, but you can control your reaction to what happens. Yes. You have to learn how to love every single person, and you also have to have that servant leadership, showing up even when it doesn't benefit you directly. Love people and value changing their lives. Yes. Like, I could just repeat that over and over again because I think that point is so important. And so learning how to handle disagreements, setting up some coping strategies. It's the same as like teaching a child to squeeze their pants, right? It's like when you're in a conflict with someone, how are you going to manage it? Maybe you consciously teach yourself to smile in the midst of a conflict. Take a deep breath, smile. It's all going to be okay. We're going to work through this. We're going to get through this. We're still going to be friends after this, you know? But having conflict gracefully. It reminds me, actually, I have a friend who loves to do board games, and she'll sit down at the beginning of it and she'll be like, listen, we were friends before we started, and we will be friends again after this game, but during this game, we are not friends, you know? And like it's setting those parameters in place. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna see a whole different side of you while we play this. But the core, here's the foundation, is that we do love each other. We are friends. We'll get back to this place again, even if it doesn't feel like it for the next hour, you know? And so learn how to resolve conflict gracefully. And then how do you implement emotional intelligence um, into your business and your leadership? If you want to have business success, I know that having higher emotional intelligence is going to lead to better decision making. It's going to lead to better relationships with my customers, with my team members, with my spouse, with my kids. It's going to increase and give me stronger leadership. And we've talked about Sarah Blakely. I feel like one day I'm just going to have to play you guys her story that I watched. But just knowing that she handled rejection so much, and she was like, I'm just going to do something different. And she learned to connect with people, and she's built an empire by doing it. But she didn't let people talk her out of it because her emotional intelligence was so much higher. She had come to a place where she was so confident in her decisions that nobody could knock her off of that. And that's where we need to be, because there are going to be so many haters and people in life that try to tell you that you can't do what you put your mind to. And it takes growing a new brain cell. And I tell you, people, when they come into this business, they grow a new brain cell. But people that are not in this business, they don't have that yet. So they don't believe that it's possible for you to do that. They would never meet someone like Erin Clark and think that it's actually possible that she earns the kind of income that she does because she's so down to earth. And and so they're going to tell you that it's not possible for you to do that. But if you meet Erin Clark, I hope, and I know she would hope, that you feel like you can do anything that she has done, right? And so that's where we get to be. So having emotional intelligence and building genuine connections with people, we know that it's going to benefit us in life. We know that it's going to motivate us. It's going to help us support other people better when it comes to leadership. We know that we're going to learn how to respond differently and better, and respond and not just react to challenges and setbacks, because we're going to be prepared for them. We're going to go into them like armored up for whatever it is that we're going to face. And so I think the biggest takeaways that I hope we can have as we talk about this is that if we make it intentional to master our emotional intelligence, it's going to be a strong foundation for us having good leadership and building business success, right? And that's what we're all here for. No matter what it is, no matter what your business is, we all want to create success in life, even if your business is being a mom, right? So self-awareness and self-regulation and motivation and empathy and social skills, they're going to help us be more powerful leaders. And faith is what strengthens our abilities. It's believing that we can, and we're halfway there. So set your belief level and tell yourself, I am emotionally strong. I'm going to manage difficult situations well. I'm in control of my thoughts and emotions. We're going to take our thoughts captive. I am a leader who inspires other people. I care about others. I take the time to listen to other people because the world needs more emotionally intelligent people. We see that in government, we see that in politics, we see that in, every situation that we look at. But you're here because you are capable. You have so much potential. I feel like that's going to be my tagline. That was the most powerful thing my mom ever said to me was you have so much potential and it's up to us to live up to it. We are equipped to lead. We're equipped to rise. We're intended to thrive in this life. We are not meant to struggle. So if you're on the struggle bus, we can choose to get off. So I hope that inspires you a little bit this morning to think about the things that we can intentionally do as we grow our leadership. And I'd love to hear if you guys have things that you've learned along your journey, um, or advice that you want to share, or something that maybe you've read at some point in time, or even just an aha moment that you have had when it comes to this. What's one thing that you're going to do differently as you step out into your day and as you continue to build your business? Does anybody have anything they want to share?
I know one thing that I've learned is you have to teach your subconscious mind what you want in life. Otherwise, your subconscious will take over and you won't get your dreams and your goals.
Mm, yeah, it's true. And I think that's one of the reasons our subconscious mind is so active when we're sleeping. And it's hours of the day that we're not intentionally deciding where our thoughts go. And that's why it's important what you think about before you go to sleep. So allow yourself time to focus on your dreams, to pray over your dreams. And hopefully, then you'll dream about your dreams while you're sleeping. And your subconscious mind is working to make things happen in your day that you dreamt about at night, which is crazy to think. But I love that. Thank you so much, Felicia. Anybody else?
I just think it's like the reaction, I think of like my parenting. Like I try so hard to like stop myself when I am like struggling through something. Sorry, my computer's like being weird. But anyway, so I try so hard to like stop myself. And I was like, hey, be really careful with that. Like you're gonna end up spilling that grape juice. And what do you know? He spilled the grape juice.
Yeah. Oh, we
Computer
lost
is
you.
doing right now. It's like, oh my
I
gosh,
was like,
like you're gonna spill that. He spilled it a little bit. He spilled a little bit. And like my reaction to that, I was gonna be like, do you not see what I like I just told you to not spill that. But he kind of looked at me and I was like, it was one drop. Just get a baby wipe and wipe it up. But I did ask you to be very careful with that cup. But it's the same
yeah,
way like in our business. Like if you are in this business and you think that you're not going to have some like hardships and some cancels here and there, like you can't get so frustrated when you have somebody tell you no or an objection. Like you have to kind of calm yourself down.
yeah,
Um, before you respond sometimes. Like sometimes I see an objection or a cancellation or whatever, and I have to like take a minute to be like, okay, calm down. Like, I'm not going to go message her right now because I'm kind of like upset about this or like shocked. And you have to take a second to kind of regroup and and then say, even if it's 2 hours later, like you kind of have to like give yourself a minute. Because like you were saying, if you know Erin Clark, I mean, yeah, she's like her monthly checks are insane, but if you think that she hasn't gone through insanity to
mhm,
get to where she's at,
yeah,
like she's had some crazy things happen in her business. I am positive. Like we don't just overnight jump to this and there's no frustration.
that's right.
You're going to have frustrating times. I think coming into a business, you have to know no matter what profession you're in, you're going to have really hard times, but like
Mhm.
it's worth it in the end. You just have to really learn how to react when those things happen because
Yeah,
I used to not be the best.
yeah. Well, and I think that too, as leaders, like we do a disservice to people when we don't tell them to expect the tough stuff, right? Because you have to go into it knowing this is going to happen. I am going to have moments of defeat. I am going to hit rejection. I am going to, have days that I don't feel like doing this and I want to give up and I question my own leadership and, I wonder if I'm in the right, like that is such a normal part of the process. But when you can set someone up from the get-go to say, listen, there's going to be some days when you start to question it. And so on those days, I want you to call me. Or I love I've shared this before, but Eric Worre, that was one of the things that I took the most when I did the Go Pro course, was like when he talks about saying to people, when you have a hard day, how do you want me to handle you? Do you want me to get in your face and remind you of why you started this in the first place? Do you want me to give you a minute? Like, what is it that you need for where you're at? And the people that really truly want to grow and are prepared and are willing to press into the challenges and grow through it, and they say, yes, absolutely, get in my face and remind me of why I started this, those are the people that are going to succeed the fastest. And so you might not have someone asking you, how do you want me to handle you when you have a bad day? But we're here saying, decide for yourself, emotionally prepare for how you're going to handle that and know that those days will come. Yeah. Don't rage at the customers. Yes. I had someone approach me about a business. I said no. She sent me an essay and blocked me. I was so confused. It's it's true, right? But like, don't let it get to you. Don't rage. It's true. Powerful stuff, guys. Well, I hope that this helps you kind of set your day and your week off by saying, I am going to choose to overcome these challenging situations. I'm going to be prepared to catch myself and catch my thoughts and catch my emotions at the start of a situation and go on. So anyhow, we went a little bit over time this morning with our conversations, but I so appreciate the interaction and the thoughts that you guys have shared. All right. Well, I will close us out this morning and we'll get on with our day. All right. Dear Lord, I just thank you that we could have this time together this morning. I thank you, God, that we can focus on the leaders that we want to become and we can choose to step into that. I thank you that we can proactively um, prepare for challenging situations because the challenges are going to come. But we can give ourselves coping strategies and make a plan for how we're going to handle the tough stuff, the tough emotions. And I just thank you, God, that you'll give us grace when we don't have enough. So I pray that as we step out into this week, even just with the rain that's happening right now, that you will just wash away all of the fears and insecurities that we have, and wash away any mud that is between us and our vision, and just help us to get so much more clear on where we know that you're calling us to be, and that we'll step out in faith towards that and take bold action this week. We thank you for this time in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, guys, have a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.